Mom Who Knows Nada. My name is Brianna, and this is the Mom Who Knows Nada podcast. We're bringing dads back this season, and a former colleague and my former boss. We met his wife, Crystal, a few weeks ago. So this is Eric. I call him Jetty, even though he probably still hates it. And he's going to talk about all about his dad life and what it's been like for him to, what's that word I'm looking for? To embrace fatherhood. So welcome, Jet.
Thank you very much for having me. Excited to be here.
I'm excited to hear your side of the story. So I heard Crystal's side. So now I'm interested for your take. What did you feel when you found out you were going to be a dad?
For me, excitement right off the bat. I was super excited. Yeah, I come from a family of 5. I'm the middle of 5, so I got to see my dad actually raise his 4 boys basically on his own. So
wow.
My mom left at I was around 6, and my siblings were various ages. The youngest was 3 at that time, but it was the example that my dad had set that kind of always got me excited to be a dad at whatever point it came in my life. Obviously, it came a little sooner than I had planned, because I was so career focused and driven. But as my dad always says, if you want to hear God laugh, you tell him your plans.
Ain't that the truth?
Totally.
What was the hardest part about becoming a dad?
The hardest part about becoming a dad was I didn't get to see that example. I saw once, the kids are already born and Little coach and taken to school and, cooking and stuff, but I didn't see the preparation, what it took, in the sense of a young man becoming a man and maturing mentally, understanding emotional stability. And I think most importantly is being that support person to your partner, to your spouse, whoever is having the kid. That was, I think, the biggest obstacle and something that I had to learn. And, my wife is very good at giving feedback. So I, and I feel like I'm a good learner, so I learned a lot. And that would be the hardest part of becoming a dad, was being that support person.
you can handle the constructive criticism.
Yeah. I got the toughest skin I've ever had now. Yeah.
Well, she's not gonna hold back on you, that's for sure.
No, as she shouldn't. I think
that's really interesting. The way you put that is like that part of becoming, seeing that example of preparation and how to be support, because I think, and my husband and I talk about this a lot, he struggled with, what the hell do I do? Like, just, and sometimes even when you're direct and specific, he's like, wait, is that what you really mean? Do you really mean this is, are you being real with me here?
Totally.
And sometimes I'm like, yes, fucking take this kid, and then other times I'm like, no, I need you to read between the lines, so poor guy. But I think that's such a poignant thing to say, because nobody trained you for motherhood and nobody trained you for fatherhood, whether however your family dynamic works, like you said, who's having the kid, who's the support person, it's a juggle, and you have to have a good, what's the word I'm looking for? Groove with someone to read them. And I know for us that we did not have a groove. So
no.
It was this ship is going down. So.
Definitely, and for the husband, the support partner, we're not the one carrying the kid. So we're not building that physical relationship and connection with the child. Yeah. So for, leading up to your first kid, there's almost this ignorance, it's not real because I don't see the baby yet, kind of thing. I don't have to tend to these needs quite yet. So the mindset should be, really supporting, your partner in that 9 months as you're doing all those things you need to do, get in healthy habits and routines so that once you're there, you're not completely thrown off kilter. But being that support person would be, my biggest advice.
But that's funny you say that. I remember my husband, he was nothing changed for you. Even in the first few months of Declan's birth, Dom still traveled all the time for work. I was the 95% when there. Not that he didn't help or take the baby or bottle feed him and all that stuff, whatever. But I was still the one that was doing most of the work, and nothing had to change for him. His lifestyle, his work, he doesn't exercise. That's a different story for a different day. But he, like nothing, he didn't have to go to all the appointments. He came to me with me to most of them, but like nothing out of his day-to-day existence had to change. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And I was like,
it's easy.
I hate you.
Yeah.
I hate you.
Totally. And you raise a great point. It's like that routine, whatever systems you have, like don't let having a kid throw you off. Like you guys are living your life and working towards, whatever it is that you're working towards. Cause at the end of the day, we only have these kids in our house for 18, years or so. And then it's back to us, So, someone told me kids come into your life. They don't become your life.
I like that.
Yeah, it's hard to swallow. Easier said than done. When you got babies, you're like, oh my gosh, this is my everything. This is amazing. But we're here to just give them that foundation and
screw them up a little bit. I like that you said that because that was one of my things in my girlfriends that I talked about, and I think some of us are better equipped to that than others. Like my dad, very much growing up, was all about, I'm going to give you this, but it's your choice. And then you're responsible for yourself at a certain point in time. Like, I'm here to guide you. I don't own you. Like, and I think sometimes, especially old school thoughts, like do as I say, not as I do kind of stuff, children need not be heard kind of things. Children don't have a voice or an opinion. I don't necessarily agree with all that. I think that you have to keep them safe and teach them, firm boundaries and healthy boundaries in all kinds of different interactions. But, like I use the example of like my son all the time because this kid loves dresses and dancing and the color pink and, twirling like a little princess. Okay. If I wanted to go a conventional way, I'd be like, no, you need to toughen up or you can't do this. I want him to have confidence. You know what I mean? And me saying that's not what boys do or that's not how you should behave is only going to diminish his confidence because he's going to start feeling insecure about whoever he is. I don't know who he's going to be yet. He's not even 4. But I think that's like so important what you said, because now, I need to, if I'm going to grow him into like a confident, self-assured, like empathetic, kind human being, that starts with how I treat him, whether I want him twirling around in dresses or not. I mean, I don't care. But at the same time, like there are people who see that and like, oh, that's a boy. And he wears a kilt all the time. We're,
cool.
Scott Irish here. So he's in his kilt trying to tap his way through the house. And, so why would I want to smash that energy, that spirit? You know what I mean? Like he's going to be on his own one day. I want him to be fully equipped to handle what the world is going to throw at him. So that's my antidote.
Yeah, no,
I'll have more.
I 100% agree because it's that creativity, and that imagination that these kids have naturally that gets suppressed, when they enter the school system and, they start just looking around and like, okay, getting real with their circumstances. And then unfortunately, kids become a victim of their circumstances instead of victors of their circumstances.
Yeah.
Like, and my dad kind of was that traditional approach. I mean, he had 4 boys to raise. And so he kind of there was a no shit, zero margin, no shit policy. So, there was definitely spankings and a lot of yelling and, and definitely, if you stepped outside of what a boy was, who a man was, and I like to wear like a pink shirt, like I remember back in middle school, like, all the guys, like they'd have this really cool pink shirt and it was like, it looked good. It was like like a nice Hollister or like Ralph Lauren, pink polo. And I was like, okay, that's dope. And, but of course, when I would wear that, put it on to go to school, my dad's like, he'd probably call me, the F word, and just stuff like that, so it's like, okay, it's not a good way to start my day. I'm really like, man, my confidence is really beaten down. And like from all people, my dad, the one person that I should feel safe with, and that guy should be empowering me. I mean, I love him, but that's just one example of just, the old school traditional approach,
And choosing not to take that into your kids. You know what I mean? Like that's
Definitely.
what I have to do a lot. It's like this morning, my husband's gone for an extended amount of time and I already want to put my head through a window. And I'm like, no, you need to breathe. It's gonna be fine.
Definitely. Definitely.
One step at a time.
Yeah. all you can do. Someone
That's
says
all you can do.
the days seem long, but the years are short or something.
I know.
And like,
It's so true.
It is true. I mean, gosh, Dean is almost 3 here in May. And like some of these days are like, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's only 3 p.m., you know, and then it's like, wait a minute, we're at 2022 already. And yeah, the kid's turning 3. So it's wild how it goes.
I hear ya. I mean, Declan's going to be 4 in like 3 months. And I'm like, oh my God. And he's like, discussing like dance shoes with another mom. And we're like, oh wait, they're almost out of toddler sizes. And I was like, I have a little kid, not a baby, you know? We're like, it was just like this moment. I couldn't. Anyway.
I mean, Layla's barely over 1. She's like 15 months and she's already rocking like 3T pants. So. Oh,
girlfriend.
I'm like, yo, these legs. I don't know where you get these legs. Not from daddy.
Must be from mama. What have you found has come easy in this role of fatherhood?
I think honestly, the homemaking skills. I think, the ability to multitask. And yeah, I'm really good at that. I mean, gosh, we think about the restaurant business. Like you got to do a lot of different things and you got to be in a lot of different places and you got to prioritize and you just have to manage a lot of moving parts. So nice. Yeah. And because my dad was a great example of that, he has restaurant background himself. So he appreciated service, and that's his love language is acts of service. And he loves to cook for people, loves to entertain. And so that's where I acquired that knack, I guess. And I did so well in the restaurant business because of that. But fatherhood, I was like stoked for it because I was like, okay, I can manage all this stuff, and I that'll lead me kind of into my journey into entrepreneurship, because that was part of my vision, because I wanted to do all the things, and you can't do all the things if you're running a restaurant.
Nope.
That part came easy. The multitasking, and just like I had experience. I've got 2 little brothers that are one's like 14 months younger and one's like 22 months younger. Oh, wow. So like, I guess growing up with that, it was always like, okay, go, go, go. There was something to do, somewhere to be. Like we're gathering all the things, proper preparation prevents poor performance, like all those things. It was just ingrained in my DNA at a young stage. So that's why the fatherhood portion came easy.
You're going to be like the best coach ever, just in life. Like, come on guys, you got this.
I've always wanted to be, I've always wanted to be the coach.
Oh my gosh, I can hear your jet-isms coming out, and I'm like, oh my God.
Definitely.
This takes me back. I don't know. What has surprised you most about fatherhood?
I guess maybe emotional energy. And the amount of energy that it takes, because you're not used to that. I mean, running a restaurant is one thing. That's a certain type of stress. But as you know, like getting up in the middle of the night and, not really knowing what's going on, you're kind of figuring it all out and figuring out this person and then trying to be that support person as well. It's like, okay, you're both stressed and like, don't want to be in this situation right here, right now. But I need to make it better for the other person, at least if I can, so like, having that servant heart has been something that we've just had to embrace, and just like, what can I do to make this environment more positive and more, loving? How can I give in love? Or I guess rather, how can I respond in love as opposed to reacting to the situation? Because we typically react emotionally, and that's okay. But how about we respond and with love?
Oh, that's a good one too. That's what I would say. I'm working on that. And I think part of it for me, because I've had such a service heart too, like, what you're talking about is like, I relate to that so much. But I also, as I've gotten older and I've gotten more like self-assured and confident in who I am and what I need as a human being, I'm also like very defiant about my non-negotiables. Like as much as I want to and a lot of the response with love needs to come towards my son, because I said to my husband in a text message this morning, I'm like, I do not have the patience for motherhood. I do not. I try so hard. But I do not have it, and it's a work in progress, and I try every day. But I also feel like as much as that's really good advice for me and a pill for me to swallow, like is always that delicate balance of not losing sight of who you are and what you want. And that's like this, like, you know, the ever seesaw that I think we all go through every day, you know, like I like to play tennis. I do this podcast, you know, working as a writer, like all that stuff. And it's hard. Like the multitasking skills come in. Like I'm like typing down notes before we hop on this call because my week has gotten screwed up like so many other people's have about this pandemic. And you're just like, okay, I gotta get this done. I gotta get this done. Okay. And then I find myself barking at my kid because I have this internalized pressure. But to the respond in love. Okay. I'm gonna eat those words later.
I know. I'm preaching to the choir myself, you know, and just that emotional energy, I think to maintain that, and you can, I think of it as like a fuel tank, you know, it can be like your love tank, which is definitely important, you know, in between the spouses, but your energy tank is very, very important. And you have to preserve that and grow your stamina over time. So, you know, I don't know what systems you have in place, but what I might say for the listeners is, you know, focus on yourself to the extent where you got to be the best version of yourself so that you can respond with love. So, something that I do, because my kids wake up, you know, early. Gosh. So I got to get up earlier. You know, if I want to if I want to have some time to myself and not start my day with screaming children and serving someone else's needs, then I need to put my needs first. And unfortunately, that's trading off. That's getting to bed a little earlier and getting up a little earlier, you know, and what I do is I get in a good mental space first. And it's like, okay, if I start my day more grateful, you know, or with some exercise or whatever, it's like, okay, I'm in a way different space. And now I'm like grateful for my kids. So now when I hear them screaming, I can now respond with love and start their day on a better note. So
that's a good point.
It's trade-offs, you know, but it's also keeping that long-term mindset as well. It's like, hey, we need to give everything we got to our kids right now because they're all we got. Yeah. So it is a delicate balance, you know, don't lose yourself, but don't put them on the back burner either, you know?
I think every day's a juggle, and sometimes it's a little give and sometimes it's a little take, you know, that's all.
And it takes two.
Really
I mean, I am so grateful that I have a partner. Like I saw this done without one, and, you know, and I can only imagine my parents when they were having kids, obviously like a few years later, they ended up getting divorced. So I don't suspect that those years were as joyous or seamless as what Crystal and I are choosing to make them for our kids and our future. So
I think that's also a conscious choice that you guys both made, you know, like as if I remember correctly, her parents like separated or divorced as well. Mine divorced when I was like 7 or 8. And I think the intention to be with a partner with a little bit, I don't want to like slander anybody's parents, but it's my own included, but like there's, I think, an integrity that people of divorced households or I'll say quote unquote broken homes have, because it's like they understand the repercussions. You know, my parents' divorce was ugly in the terms that they were both immature and didn't put the kids first when they should have. If that ever happened with Dominic and I, like we already have like, you know, an exit plan, if you will.
Sure.
You know, like if you go into a contract, you need to negotiate the out before you go in. And it would be about what was best for Declan, as it always is every day. And I think that having that intentional and that integrity for the relationship going into it, and you know, no one wants to plan to get a divorce. Like, let's be real here. That's not my plan here. My intention with my husband was we weren't even married and we weren't planning to get married. when Declan was conceived. So my whole thing was, I could be a single mom without a job. How do I look after myself and my kid if he decides to up and leave me? Or, you know what I mean? And
totally.
So I think that coming from that background gave me, like, lended me towards having a more intentional conversation, uncomfortable, about what my expectations were once we decided that we were going to be together and have this child, kind of thing. So I don't know if that resonates, but
definitely it's very easy to just, say, hey, you know what, like, I'm over this. I don't want this added drama or stress or pressure, and just leave. But yeah, it's a very selfish and immature way to behave. And our parents grew up in different times, way different times.
Way different.
And I mean, it was like, it was just a different, social setting, and like having lots of kids, like, seemed awesome and stuff. And then, like, the real, then it's like, crap, wait, we can't afford any of this. Yeah. It's like super stressful and this sucks. And unfortunately we're just that next evolution. But I really think that, I think that kids in the future, I think there will be less broken homes. At least I hope so. If we can educate and inspire, people to be those support people, to put marriage first, and because unfortunately, in a lot of situations, the kid comes before marriage. I mean, we had Dean before Chris and I were even, getting, I don't know. So we got engaged. Yeah, we got engaged, and then boom, Dean was born, and then a few months later, we ended up getting married, and that's just our journey, and and we're so happy it worked out that way. But in other situations, when the kid comes first, that adds a whole different dynamic, and then people are like, man, no, like, I don't want to commit. Because they're like, okay, well, I'm committing to this kid already. I don't want to commit to a wife or a spouse or whatever. And gosh, the financial pressures are are imminent in every relationship. Everyone's got their own situation, but like just the way the economy is, it's not helping anybody. No,
and I think that's the truth. Is like it. Dominic and I always, because I get the question all the time: "You're gonna have another one? He needs a sibling." I'm like, I wasn't supposed to have the first one. So, like, I'm not going to push my luck with the universe, God, or be it what it may. Like, I got my miracle. Can y'all just back off? Thank you. I think it's rude. I think it's rude, first of all. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And we can do more for one than we can for two. Like, he can go to, we can travel, and you know what, maybe he will go to a private school, not a public school, or you know what, maybe he'll be homeschooled by a private tutor, like whatever. Like, because I can't do that if I have more than one kid,
That's a great point. Yeah, someone told me, because I used to want more kids. I mean, before I had any, I was like, I want a bunch, because I grew up with a lot, and like because I was so ambitious and confident in my ability to be that husband and father, and like provide an abundant household where like I can financially make this happen. That was my vision. And then I had one, and then I had two. I'm like, I'm reevaluating, and being grateful for what I got, not pushing the luck by any means.
I like that. So something interesting is that you kind of had the role of like Mr. Mom, I don't want to genderize like roles, but you were primary caregiver to your kids for, I mean, I think you still work at home, so it's not like you're not around. Right. You kind of took that lead primary caregiver role. I want to get into a little bit about that. What have you enjoyed most about being present and watching them grow?
I think that is exactly what I enjoyed the most, is being present and watching them grow. That's the best part. And I don't know, maybe not every. See, that's the tough thing about dads. You have so much pressure to provide that you make that the priority, and you have to be, in most cases, the primary breadwinner and the provider, and like there's so much stress on that, and you make that the priority. So you almost sacrifice those early years. You're like, okay, I'm busting my butt, putting in the time so that we can enjoy later. And for guys, it's easier to have that big picture mindset, in my opinion. And so I just wanted to have that proper balance. And another example, my dad, he owned his own business. He was self-employed and worked from home. So that's how he was able to be flexible with his hours and take us to school and pick us up and be our baseball coach and all those things, and he made the time to get his work done. And that was inspiring. So that was really important to me because he was always there for us. Awesome. Maybe, like he was physically there, maybe not. He just had his own style, I guess. He loves us so much, but like sometimes it didn't feel like it.
Yeah.
And
but he knew, like.
Yeah. At the same time, he freaking played the hand he was dealt, and he played it very well. So I want to take care of that guy in his old age. He just turned 70 already. So,
oh, wow.
He is in his old age. So I want to, be able to just have him not have to stress about anything, because he did do a good job, with us. But I forgot what the original question was.
Being present, watching them grow. Yeah.
Yeah. That's very important. That is super important and close to my heart. Is time, because you can always make more money. You can never make more time. And tomorrow is not guaranteed. Yeah. I got this little coin here. I try to put it in my pocket every day, but it says Memento Mori, and on the back it says you could leave life right now. So just being grateful. Be grateful for what you got. Anything can happen, and there's a lot that's out of our control. You get a car accident. Volcanoes are going off these days. Yeah. So it's wild. So just be grateful for what you got and live for today. Because for so long I was living for tomorrow. It was like you work in the corporate world and you're trying to get that promotion. You're working towards the next thing, and it's easy to do in your life and your home life, but it's important to really live the day to day and be present in those day to day.
I think that's really interesting too, because you could leave literatively and figuratively, leave your life. Like if you're so worried about tomorrow, or you're afraid to show up for today, which is conversations I've been having with some people close to me, it's like you have to choose what's worthwhile to you, and you have to choose yourself as being worthwhile, whether you're single, married, separated, divorced, if you have a chronic illness, whether you're healthy, you have to choose your worth every day. And if you don't choose that, then are you even living? I don't know. Yeah. That's something I was just having a conversation about yesterday, and I'm just like, man, you're too afraid to live, but you're not ready to die. What is that? So I think that coin is kind of cool because it's twofold. It's totally multifunctional.
Yeah. And that's just the kind of level we're trying to get on. I guess you could say it's the road to enlightenment or something, or we're just in this awakening process where life is so precious and valuable, and the fact that we were even able to have kids in the first place, man, that's a blessing. We got 2 kids. I got 1 boy, 1 girl. I could literally die right now. So happy, so blessed. I'm good, and. So I think a lot of people, especially the last couple of years, they're just lacking purpose and hope too, So
that's a good point.
Yeah. Because if you don't have a purpose, you're not living for today, and you can't work for tomorrow. It's really this internal self growth journey that everyone needs to embark on. Everyone's different. We have our own life. And at the end of the day, when we die, this is all we got. It's our body. My dad freaking said, he's like, when you die, you don't see any U-Hauls, behind the hearses. No one's taking their crap with them, So, so we just need to reprioritize what's truly important to us.
And I think that's really important when we go back to that whole thing with growing children. They're on their own journey, and we have our preconceptions and our own internal judgments and our the way our opinions, right? And they might not have those same things, and that doesn't make our children wrong, even if they're 4 years old and twirling in a dress and tapping around the house. That doesn't make him wrong. It just makes that's what he loves right now. You know what I mean?
Totally.
And it's remembering that. Because my husband laughs at me sometimes, and I'm like, no, boundaries start now. If he comes up and hits my butt, or social constructs, some of the stuff starts now. It's not appropriate to lift up someone's dress in public, which my son has done to me.
Sure.
It's not okay.
Yeah.
You have to plant these seeds now for their young little brains, because then by the time they're 9, 10, 12, 15, dating, whatever it is, they already know. And that's where you have to, like, I think, look ahead. But at the same time, you have to bring it down to their level, like,
yeah.
But you have to have that, like, that awareness, and their journey is going to look different than my journey. And I have to kind of check myself every once in a while to make sure that because my growth as an individual is going to look different than Declan's and looks different than his father's. And sometimes it's really hard not to, like, pull them up or bring them down depending on where I am on my path. So that's interesting that you said that.
Definitely.
A lot about that.
That's really cool that you brought that up, because you're right. They're on their own journey. And you brought up before, like, some parents have that control factor, and, they control their kids and really try to guide them in maybe the way, they, what do they call it? Like the self-fulfilling prophecy or whatever, like, where the parent fell short, they try to, relive their glory days through the kid and stuff. And, the awareness, that they're on their own journey, and let them do that. Be free to do that. And, and that's so cool. And maybe we can learn something from them in the process, because our imaginations have been turned off so much, for so long. Like, maybe just if you are present and engaged with them and play with them and listen to them, you can learn something.
I like that you said that to learn from your kids, because I am a firm believer that your child is the child you have received in this life is the child you are meant to govern, but you're also going to learn something from that child. It's a symbiotic relationship. And part of the reason I say that is because, especially like looking at my toddler now, he is so pure and honest with, like, today. And I created like a meme for this because I was so crazy. I said something about being a young man. I was like, Declan, you need to do X, Y, and Z, young man. He goes, Mommy, I'm not a young man. I said, what are you then? He's like, I'm a human. And I was like, oh, mic drop, kid.
Yeah. You're absolutely right.
I was like, okay.
Yes, you are.
But still, my point is, and I forget the point I was trying to make to him, like, because I was like, that just got real quick.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Anyway, so let's go back to some misconceptions about being like the homemaker versus working outside the home. Anything you'd like to address about like your time as like, I hate saying like Mr. Mom, because I think that you're not Mr. Mom, you're your dad. But like that role of like the domestic partner that's more home than the other one.
Totally. I think like for a little while, it was more, coming into society, but then like, gosh, with the economy, after the pandemic and everything, it's like, okay, now there's even more pressure. And some people, chose, saw it as an opportunity. Some people are still living in fear and lack purpose and all that stuff. But I think, I hope that in the future, because women are working just as hard as men and holding the same jobs and all that stuff, which is awesome. And, Crystal likes to work. She doesn't love to work, but she likes getting outside of the house and talking to adults, and coming home with cash in your pocket and eating some good food for a couple hours. Like that's cool. That's fine. And, it allows us to, it did allow us to, do those things. We like to go out to nice restaurants and, we like to put the kids in Pampers, so, it's nice. It's nice to have, a couple extra bucks to do that. But I think there should be more of an importance for the guys to step up and like be more of a dynamic human themselves, and not just fulfill that role of the provider or the guy that builds stuff and fixes stuff around the house. Like be the guy that does the dishes and folds the laundry and changes the poopy diapers, and takes out the poopy diapers, whatever. Like be the guy that says, hey babe, like you need to go get your nails done, like I'm gonna hold down the fort and watch the kids or whatever, so like just more awareness of the duty. It's like, hey, you're not just, be a father, but be a support person as well, be a husband, be a partner. And I mean, like I said, you can always make more money. If you're focused on money, if you're always chasing money, you'll always be chasing money. You know, it's not, your priorities are wrong, which means you're making decisions based on your value system, and what you value is money. Obviously, if you're choosing to leave your family X amount of hours a day for so long and thinking that something is going to get better down the road, that's kind of insanity. You know, you're doing the same thing. And I've just learned so much about economics too in my own growth journey, where like trading your time for money is not going to equate to an abundant lifestyle, you know, to wealth. Like, unfortunately, we go to school and, you know, we taught to get a good job and we work our way up the ladder. And unfortunately, when we get to the top of the ladder, we realize that ladder is leaning on the wrong building. And
that's a good analogy.
And sometimes, you know, we jump from building to building, but all within the same ecosystem. And we're not learning, okay, hey, every paycheck, we should be paying ourselves first. We should be putting 10% away, whether it's in a retirement account, a savings account, but let that money get to work. Start growing your money and learn how to multiply this. Everyone right now should listen to the book, or read the book, or listen to the audiobook, Richest Man in Babylon. That's a classic, and that will paint this perspective about money and how you can make it grow so that you can buy your time back. I mean,
Richest Man in Babylon?
Yeah, Richest Man in Babylon.
Write that down.
Definitely. And that's a good place to start, you know, for everybody, because you're just like, wow, like I'm working for somebody else, and everything at the grocery store is only getting more expensive. And, you know, I did get a 50-cent raise, but after taxes, you know, it's like, we're not taught this stuff. We're just distracted so that we're just in chaos and stress. And then we're like, you know what? I just need a beer and a Big Mac. And then I think that's what will make me happy.
Definitely the beer for me. Well, wine, but you know.
No, totally. You know, and so yeah, that's, that would be the answer.
To the question.
Yes. Next question.
I love it. Let's switch gears a little bit and tell me what it was like to watch Crystal become a mom. What was that like for you?
Oh, awesome. Yeah, super cool. If you guys watch the podcast, you know, with my wife, she's a badass, and she just beasts through everything. Very competitive spirit, and just mind over matter. So it was very cool to watch her grow, you know, as a woman and mature, and just like grab this thing by the horns and just embrace it with like this confidence. And I think, she won't give herself, you know, as much confidence as I'll give her, but like, she was always researching and learning and growing. And that's what I love about her. Like, we always had great conversation, and we would learn more. We'd like to learn more. Like, you know, we like to go to exhibits, and we like to, you know, just go learn random stuff, right? You know, and she's a Jeopardy whiz, you know, so she's got like tons of random knowledge, and like, it's cool because you never know. Sometimes that might, help you out, you know, but it was really cool to watch her and continue to watch her. And she still hasn't stopped growing, and she understands the importance of the self-development, you know, aspect. And she, like right now, she's focusing on sleeping more, you know, now that Layla is only waking up once or twice in the middle of the night. You know, she's like, okay,
that's a good goal.
Definitely. She's like, okay, because she's such a napping. Like, I'm a great napper. I can literally have an espresso and nap. Like, so that is something that maybe for women too, because I mean, like, hormones are racing all the time. So like, I understand you can't just be like, okay, shut your mind off, go to sleep. And so she's just working on this thing, which I'm like so proud of her, because I love my sleep and I value it, and I think it's super important for the brain. And and she's just like killing it. And now she's sleeping better, and like, I'm already noticing just a better mood and more patience with the kids, and you know, for the both of us. So it's she's freaking beasting the whole thing. I'm proud.
Of course you are, but you're also very like encouraging. So she's got that, you got that going for her, and she's got that going for her on your behalf. But so what else do you do to stay true to yourself and your family?
I think so. This is something that Crystal and I think is important, is the communication and the connection with the extended family. because right now, there hasn't been a whole lot of traveling the last couple of years. So everyone, even though we're connecting, we're not really as connected as we once maybe were. Mm-hmm. So making trips to California, making trips to Arizona, FaceTime as much as possible, even just on the phone call, like speakerphone with my dad, so that Dean can hear me talk to my dad, and he can talk to Dean and stuff, and just like building that importance around the extended family, because that's the support system. I mean, all we got at the end of the day is our family. Like, blood is all we got. And if there was ever, I just want him to know that he's got people that love him, and like, he deserves that relationship. We can only show him the door to those relationships, and it's up to him to walk through and nurture those relationships. Just like, my dad's relationship with his father was different, where he talked to him almost every day on the phone, but I almost never got to see my grandpa. So I was like disconnected, from my grandpa, and I don't really have that relationship, it's like,
I feel you there.
Yeah. So it's kind of sad, but that has motivated me to create my legacy, and who are the Jetsons, when I die, and who is Dean, and who is Layla, and like, who are they going to remember me as? What's my example and what's my legacy? And I don't really have that structure in my family, and like so I want them to be able to have those relationships. It's like, even though my mom left, at a young age, like, I chose to keep that relationship alive because that's my mom. I don't care. The dynamic and relationship between what happened between her and my dad, it's irrelevant. She gave birth to me and brought me into this world, and I am her in a lot of ways. So,
it's always fun to acknowledge.
Yeah, right. So you got to appreciate it, and you take the best and leave the rest,
Yeah, I love that saying.
Yeah.
It's hard. Like, and I like how you brought like the choice with your mom too, because I think that choice too, like, it's not always easy, and there's definitely probably some more internal work I need to go to let like to completely drop the bag. But I also feel like it's like, if you get burned by a stove, you're not going to touch the stove again. You're going to be cautious around it, right? So when somebody hurts you, you carry that with you into other relationships, but also that same one. If you're going to choose, people make changes, and sometimes people can only change so much, and that's fine. So I just like that you said that, because it was like, it's a conscious choice sometimes to be like, okay, Mom, you're in my life. And to give that relationship to Declan, because I don't have a good relationship with my extended family either. And I want that for him. I want him to have those relationships that I didn't have. So anyway.
Well, what's the example? I mean, if you shut your mom out of your life, or I shut my mom out of my life, like, why would I expect for Dean not to shut his mom out of his life? Right. That's the example we're setting. So I think it goes back to awareness. Like, you have to be less selfish, and just like be aware, like live for them, and just realize, the freaking example you're setting, every word you choose to say.
God, that's so true.
And if you just simplify it, like, your behaviors are because of words that you said, and because they're the thoughts that you thought. So if you can be a master of your own thoughts and stop it there, your words and your behaviors might be different.
Yeah, and you can even change your thoughts. I think that's really important to highlight too. It's like, we forget how much our kids emulate us.
Oh my gosh,
I swear all the time. Declan says shit all the time. I actually asked him where he heard that word from. He's like, "You mommy." I was like, fuck. Like, don't say fuck.
And being in the restaurant business, that didn't help, everyone cursed like a sailor there. So
it's just like my personality. I use everything like adjectives. So it's like, but anyway, what about for you and Crystal? How do you make sure you two are at the top of your priority list? Like, we've talked a little bit about it, but is there anything that you do regularly or to make sure that you guys are first, like, front and center as well?
Yeah. We are, I guess, strengthening our faith, with God. And, in the pandemic, that's where it kind of started, I guess, because like, hey, we all didn't really know what was going on. So it was like, okay, like, we know that, God is there for us. And, we started watching church on just like every Sunday, just because the church started streaming it. Yeah. Which was nice, because they shut down the churches for a while and stuff. So I was like, okay, that's where we started. And it at least got like Dean familiar to, the priest's voice and stuff like that. And some of the prayers, we pray before every meal, and we say prayers before night, go to bed. So like, I think that has helped, because it's so ironic. Like my dad, I went to Catholic school my whole life. So like my whole life, I was kind of being like, programmed, I guess. My subconscious is like full of this religion, and there are some things that like I definitely agree with, and like my dad, he showed me the door, and for a long time I didn't want to walk through it because I felt like he was pushing me through it. And so I was like, no, I don't want to go through that door. So then, a few years later, after college and after I grew up a little bit, I decided, hey, I'm going to walk through that door by myself, because this is my relationship with God. And, yeah, it was nice because I got to build my own personal relationship, not feeling like it was forced. Like you have to go to church on Sunday because that's what you have to do, and like, sometimes I don't go to church on Sunday because I don't feel like you need to report to a certain building, to prove, that you have faith or that, you're a certain religion or whatever. It's not about checking the boxes. So if you're on this spiritual journey, and what we're trying to do is, be enlightened, be awakened individuals so that we can operate at the highest frequency, I guess. And that has helped us release these super low vibrations that we hold on to, like these grudges, like, these traumas, that we've held on to, from our upbringing and stuff. Like we have to choose to forgive, and we have to choose to let go of that shit because we're weighing ourselves down, and like the goal is to lighten your load and be just like this energy source essentially, and just flow this love into your kids. And like, that is our job, in my opinion. That is my purpose. It's my feeling. And like, that's what's pulling me. God says to me, like, hey, be like, I gave you your dad for a reason, because he taught you how to be all the things, have all these skills, whether you like your dad's personality or not. Like, you have these skills that you can add value to others, and you can educate, like maybe this is my foundation, and maybe, I help others on platforms like this, and like, hey, you can do it. Like, maybe you just need to be empowered, and maybe you just need to run your life like a freaking business. I mean, you work for somebody else for so dang long and hard. Make your own P&L, make your own systems, run your life like a business, and just see how that goes this year.
I'm into that. I love that. When it comes to your new dad life, or soon to be dads, what advice would you give?
Priorities. Yeah. Figure out your priorities, and you might have to make a list. I mean, you might have to write it down, to be honest.
Just going back to your P&Ls, and I'm like, oh man, maybe I don't want to ask this question.
Yep. Yeah. You see this notebook I carry around all the time.
Something changed.
Totally. Well, you can take Alex for that. She's the one that got me on the notebook. But seriously, like, we have so much crap going in and out of our head, and we're constantly distracted. I might be having a conversation with Crystal, and then like the kids, are getting into something. Or, you need to like save them from danger. So you're like, then you get back to the conversation, like, okay, what the heck were we even talking about?
Yeah, totally.
So organization is key, but going back to the priorities, and like, you make decisions based around your values. So establish your values. And for us, that's faith, that's family. And, it's creating that abundant environment. And that doesn't just mean we got lots of toys everywhere, or there's money coming down from the ceiling.
No, that's so true.
Yeah. Abundance for us is delivering that high energy and that positivity, and creating this atmosphere of love, so that these kids just naturally grow up where no matter what stress or trauma they face in their life, they'll know to respond in love first, because it'll be natural. It won't be like, like, you know?
God, I like how you're circling back to that too. Like that's like one of the first things we talked about, like abundance and love. That's awesome. And that's, I think, just a good lesson for all of us, I think.
Straight up.
Personally.
And to be honest, and like, what I'm doing now, being able to work from home and like being able to learn how to make your money work for yourself is awesome. So I think, new dads, new moms, everyone should become more financially literate this year, or else we're going to be doing the same thing in 2023. We can't expect to do the same thing we did last year and get different results, right?
It's true.
So, like for everyone, like I am an investor and a consultant. I run a cryptocurrency consultancy, and I help people get educated about it and how they can get their money working for them, because it's a new technology. I mean, I'm young enough where I didn't get to have any skin in the game with the internet boom, and I'm not going to let that opportunity slide by this time, and I love technology. Yeah. So I love tech and I love numbers. Yeah, so like that's just kind of how I got into it, and it has been a blessing because I have afforded myself to be able to come home and be here with the kids. And Crystal left her job last month, so she's been home full time with the kids as of January 1st, which is really awesome.
Oh, dang! Yeah, nice. Yeah, I love that.
I know. Yes. So there is a will and there is a way, but you got to make an action plan for yourself. We can only show you the doors, and you got to be the one to walk through those doors.
Okay, Jet.
Because I don't want to be having the same conversation in 2023. All right, I'll just replay this. I'm like, you know what? What did I tell you last year?
What did I tell you last year? Maybe we'll have to talk more about your work next time.
That would be great.
Real quick, what do you wish you would have been told about fatherhood?
It's not what you think. You can plan and predict and analyze all you want. It's not what you think, but it's way better than you could ever expect, if that makes sense.
I love that.
Because guys, like, for us, like, we don't get to grow the kid. We don't get to develop that personal, physical connection, until we hold that baby for the first time. And then it's like so real, and it hits us like all like a ton of bricks, but it's all joy. And like, man, I couldn't help myself but cry for both kids. I was like, oh, I won't cry as much with Layla, when I hold her, because I've been there, done that. I, expelled these emotions already. But sure enough, boom, just waterworks, because it's so amazing. Yeah, it's so amazing. And like, if you can hold on to that feeling, that will propel you through every day. Like, you should get up excited that you've got the opportunity that you got to feel that, and then you get like you just get to freaking be a great teammate and support system for these kids. We're raising adults through childhood. I'm gonna leave you with that.
No, that is I mean, I don't know. That's an amazing statement, and I'd never thought about that, but my mind just exploded.
I heard that once, and I think I melted as well. I was like, holy crap, that makes sense, because they will be adults one day, so we're just raising them through childhood.
Damn. All right, on that note, I am going to mic that, because that was good, and I am not going to fuck that up.
Sweet, thanks. I finally got one. You
got a couple in it, I'm not even going to lie. I'm the mom who knows nada. This is Jet. He's the best. I love how some of the things that you did years ago in all the restaurants you're still doing today, and it's obviously working for you, so I'm stoked about that. Until next time, kids, have fun learning all the things you didn't know you needed to know.